kid in college a lot that had a super awesome, it was just like a high crotch double that he'd get his head right up. So if, in wrestling, typically if Chuck's shooting a double, his head's coming up high to the outside right here, and he's going to drive me with his head. So the guillotine is really hard to get even in Jiu-Jitsu. In wrestling, you can't do a guillotine. In Jiu-Jitsu, it's really hard to get as he starts lifting and turning. I'm screwed here if I'm looking for a guillotine. So a lot of people get real nervous about the head being on the outside. But so now in wrestling, when you're just trying to work a front headlock, which is what I love to do, I'm coming down here, you're snapping it typically into the opposite side, you're starting to work this, and it's, as you can see, like it's a guillotine position. But now, if this guy's powerful, and he gets his hips inside here, gets his head up and starts running, I'm screwed there. So I shoot this double, Chuck's looking guillotine here. Even if he starts to lock that, hips in up, I'm getting all the way to the other side, and that's how I finish my double traditionally. So it doesn't matter if this guy's looking for the guillotine, because I'm just going to blast through, hips up, get those legs crossed, and now I'm screwed. So this was happening a lot when I'm working my front headlock, and this kid was just so powerful, he blasts right through my front headlock. So that's where this came from. What I basically start doing is feeding a shelf to my hand right here. Instead of going what you typically taught from this here, snapping it in, I started going with an opposite side reach and setting my shelf at his head. And all I'm doing is I'm putting his chin into this pocket, keeping my elbow tight right here, chin right here, and it stays, if you can notice, in the center of my chest. And this elbow, you can't see his head. If you're seeing his head in there, I'm doing it wrong. Keeping that elbow tucked nice and tight. Now to get him to the ground here is still a battle, because you know I'm trying to squeeze here. Being in the middle of my chest, he can move his head to the outside. So what I'll do, come over the top. If I need to grab this, I'll grab right on here sometimes and really elbow down. But typically I like to elbow down right here, and I'm doing kind of like a guillotine, old-fashioned guillotine right on his head. And I'm crushing his head into that thing right there. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to sprawl and pull his body to the mat. Right here. I'm still not necessarily looking for this guillotine, because as I go for that guillotine, I'm still able to be taken advantage of here. So what I'll start to do is, I get him to the ground here, elbow still tucked in. I'm dropping my shoulder right into the base of his spine, right here. Coming to the elbow, same as it applies in Jiu-Jitsu. I'm not trying to pull his elbow straight. It's hard to do, but I'm going to take the elbow and rotate it out. See that outward motion? This is going to get his elbow up. And when I get it here, I'm going to start driving my shoulder into the back of his spine and lifting this elbow. As I do that, I'm just circling away from him. This can actually work right here as a takedown, but I continue to circle right to the mat, and I push that elbow down and get through my side control. When the video cuts, I'll tell you who I did that to. Now, the other way I can use this is in a traditional sense, which actually works is submission in Jiu Jitsu. As I do this, I'm going to push the elbow, duck my head, so that the top of my head is touching his face. When I do that, if I want to just submit him, I can lock my hands like a guillotine right here and sit right into it, right here. We'll eventually submit him. I'm just going to squeeze it, keep sitting. Or I can start to chase the hip here. This will also submit a guy right here. My objective with this is not to use it as submission though. My objective is to get on top and get my takedown position. So one more time from the top. Set my shelf. I'll come to you guys, make sure you guys get this individually, but set my shelf. My cross side reach, one of the only times I feel comfortable reaching, and I'm switching my stance. I always stand this way as I reach. When I set this, I'm going to come with my elbow in here, switch my stance real quick, and feed it to this side. Now I'm going to switch my stance back to this side, drag him to the mat. See, I'm pinching with my elbows down here. Shoulder sets in the base of his spine. Rotate this elbow out, and drive that shoulder down. From here, I can either just keep lifting the elbow and bring him right to his back, or punch, top of my head on his face, circle, turn around, catch the hip. And if you want to just torture a guy, sit right here and squeeze, or let go and get your takedown and go to work there. All right?